Hey, aloha everybody. Tom here. Hopefully you guys can see and hear me okay. I'm not in my office as you can tell. So maybe you can drop a line in the comments. Let me know that you guys can see and hear me. I'm actually I'm not at my house. I'm celebrating my 14-year wedding anniversary with my wife, and we're staying at a hotel not far from my house here in Kihei. So I was trying to do it so I could get you guys to see the nice view out these shutters here, but the lighting just wasn't working out. So I may open them up in a minute just to give you a sneak peek. Awesome. Well, let's see who all is here. I see people coming on. Welcome everybody. Hey Bones. Aloha. Aloha Ron. Good audio and visual. Good. I was worried. I had to make this makeshift light out of the lamp that's in the hotel room because they don't have any big overhead lights. So cool. Yeah, here, look, you're not going to be able to see me, but I'll open this up so you guys can get a little view of the view outside of my room. Hopefully the lighting adjusts a little. But yeah, see, it makes me a little dark in the picture, but you can see the ocean's just over this way. Yeah. But yeah, so we came and we just stayed one night here. So we stayed here last night, and then the kids are actually out of school today. So they're coming to join us to hang out by the pool. So awesome. All right. Well, I'm super excited. Everybody's here. And I'm going to be doing today solo because Nick is today. He's in Maryland. So he's actually attending an event, WebinarCon, with a bunch of there are a lot of people there. Some people we know, a bunch of people we don't. But they're all getting together to talk about marketing and stuff like that. So yeah, Ron says, I miss your bookshelf. Yeah, I do too. But I still have a book for What's Tom Reading. So that's good. Yeah. So I'm just carving out a little time to hang with you guys here for about an hour. So we'll do some Q&A. We'll do some of our normal stuff. So if you guys have any questions, this is a great time to ask them. You can put them in the comments. I'll be monitoring those and all that stuff. But you know, one thing we always like to start out with is the shark shout outs. So I guess the first shark shout out goes to my wife for putting up with me for 14 years, right? She's seen the bad times and the good times. So yeah, it's really exciting. It doesn't seem like we've been married that long. Pretty crazy. But we've been having a great time here at the hotel and spending time together and getting some work done. You know, that's one of the great things about having a digital agency is like I'm able to, even if I have to do some work, it's like I can still carve out good chunks of time to spend with the family, spend with the wife. So awesome. So let's see. Let's do some shark shout outs here. And our first shout out, we're going to go to here. Let me share my screen because we had a couple good ones. Let's see. Let's go to this one. I'm not sure. This is Jeremy Peatman. You guys should be able to see that, right? So a big shout out to Jeremy. So Jeremy posted in the Offline Sharks Facebook group. He said, look, it's been a good morning. I know some people say the best way to learn something is to teach it. So I hopped on a video call, first time ever besides the friends, with my new friend Bill, and walked him through setting up a lead bucket on his new list. We made all the lists he needs for smart automation and saved those settings in a new campaign, set up all the generic settings before he ran out of time. But the good news is he's ready to edit his emails, and I have my 4th campaign done. All as well as a better handle on using this great platform. That's awesome, Jeremy. And way to step up and help a fellow shark, right? Like get in there, help them get things going when you kind of have a grasp on it. I firmly believe like one of our core beliefs here at Offline Sharks is that, you know, when you're able to do something or you're a little bit ahead of other people, you know, it's kind of your responsibility to look back and help other people that are trying to do the same thing. So big shout out, Jeremy. That's really awesome. I see it got lots of comments. So that's really, really great. Let me pull up another shark shout out here. Let's see. We will go to our next one. Hopefully this will work. I'm working on single monitors too. So let's see. Our next shark shout out goes to Joanne Smith. So Joanne said, look, I just applied what I learned today at Offline Shark Site Speed Profits course on my slow, she says, embarrassing website that I could not fix with many different plugins and other methodologies that I tried myself on the site already. And a lot of those made it worse. But she said she used what we showed in Site Speed Profits, and it's made a huge difference to the site speed, which she'll now be adding to her client sites as an extra service. So, she recommends Site Speed Profits. I know a lot of you guys that are on this live have Site Speed Profits. And one of the reasons I wanted to point out this particular shout out was, one, Joanne, great job taking action, but this is also a really good example of how Nick and I got comfortable with various services that we offer local businesses. And that was by applying those services to our own things, right? To our agency websites, to our influencer sites, like doing the things that we're going to do for clients, like social media management, SEO, optimizing for site speed. When you do these things for your own assets, right? One, you get experience, you get comfortable. It also gives you the ability to talk confidently with clients because you know what you're doing, right? You've done it, you see what it can do, and you know that it can help a client. So I think this particular shark shout out is a real great example of how, if you're setting out there and you're struggling with confidence and maybe you don't have clients, you don't really know how you're going to get the experience you need, this is a great way to do it by applying the things that you're going to do for clients to your own stuff, right? And if you don't have an agency website, you should have an agency website. You should have some kind of website out there. And there's a lot of really great platforms you can use that are easy to set up, right? And then you can start doing these things. And, we've said it a lot, but Nick's had a ton of success with, applying SEO to his agency site. Like, he started doing that a few years ago, and now he ranks really highly for Maui SEO, Hawaii SEO, and he gets a lot of inbound leads that he doesn't have to chase, right? They reach out to him. And so it also gave him a lot of confidence in what he was doing and that these things work and the skill set and all that stuff. So way to go, Joanne. Awesome job. I'm super excited for you. And this still, I was just thinking about this morning, site speed and SSL are still great services to be offering local businesses. Like, there's still a lot of small businesses out there that have these issues, and it's a great foot in the door, a great way to get in with clients. So way to go, Joanne. And then we have one more shark shout out. Let me go back and see if I can share my screen for this one and find my tab here. I think it's this one. Yeah, this one goes to Elvis. Elvis is in the building. We have found him. Elvis, I love it. So Elvis said in his post, hey, Sharks, hope you're all doing great. So after getting access to Lead Factory, I was a little bit distracted, but I got back to the training and sent out emails to some contacts I found on Google My Business, talked to them about my web design services, and fortunately, 2 of them want to meet this week. Way to go, Elvis. 2 meetings. And Elvis, I'm sure you can probably attest to people in the group, like, it's not really super hard, right? Like, you set up the system, you send out a few emails, you get some calls to talk to them, right? So he says, look, fingers crossed, and hopefully something great comes out of it. Lead Factory rocks. Thanks, Elvis. We appreciate that. Keep on taking action, and it will surely pay off. Totally agree with that, Elvis. And you're super welcome. It's really exciting to see people taking action with the stuff that we put out there, right? And Nick and I firmly believe that you don't have to be, I certainly wasn't in the beginning one of these guys that was like up super early in the morning, just like work all day, like taking action, like taking massive action. Like, I really put a minimal amount of effort into things in the beginning. Over the years, I've gotten better and better as I've continued to improve and grow myself and, get more clear on what I'm trying to do and what I want out of this and to keep me motivated and all those things. But yeah, really the key is, you learn something, then take some action that teaches you even more about what you're doing and hopefully will deliver some results. And you can see, he sent out a few emails and 2 appointments. So can't really ask for anything more than that, right? At least you're in the game. Like you've got some activity going, you've got some appointments, and whether they work out or don't work out, Elvis, if you just keep doing what you're doing, you know, you're going to end up landing some clients off of that. So awesome. I love this GIF down here too. Nick and I should make one like that of us doing that. I don't know if we could. That would be great. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to go back here and check out our comments. So let's see. Hey, Janice, I see you there. Yeah, lots of love for you, Elvis, for what you're doing, and Joanne and Jeremy. So let's see. Why don't we do a here? Let me check my show notes here. So we did have a couple of popular questions, and then we'll get to some Q&A, and we'll just hang out and talk. So one of the popular questions this week came from Kevin, and he said, can a private mailbox still be used for GMB listing and still rank? And Kevin, that is a great question. I think what Kevin's talking about is if you use something like a UPS mailbox, right? And one of, or maybe, I don't know if he's talking about a home address. You know, the important thing with local rankings is that the address matches on all your citations and on your website and in the Google My Business listing, right? Like those things all need to be the same. You know, it's against Google's terms of service to use other addresses, right? So like you're not supposed to use, they don't allow PO boxes. You're not supposed to use UPS boxes and things like that. So, you know, you definitely want to stay on the good side of Google and follow their terms of service. So, you know, however you can set up an address and stay in those terms of service is really the right way to go, right? That way you just don't have to worry about anything, you know? You always have that kind of feeling of looking over your shoulder when you're not doing things the right way. And we don't want that. So Kevin, that was a great question. Dorn also asked a great question. He said, if you're just starting out with your agency, what's your biggest challenge? Oh, I think he was asking this to the group. Yeah. Man, Dorn, you know, it's interesting. When I was first starting out with my agency, right, like the biggest challenge I faced was just staying focused on those revenue producing activities, right? Like really getting clear on what is going to bring the money in, right? And staying focused on those things no matter what else is going on. And I still find now that now that things are chugging along and things are going really well, I still find that to be a challenge, right? Sometimes you get, you know, as you start to get busier, it gets easier to not focus on those revenue producing activities because you have cash flow coming in, things are chugging along, and like it doesn't seem like those things are going to change or stop, right? But they can. And so it's really important that you stay focused on that. And I still argue that the most important activity when you're talking about what we're doing in the terms of local marketing is prospecting, right? Is bringing new clients into your pipeline. And if that's what you focus on, bringing in new clients, setting up systems so that when clients come in, you know, you have some help with fulfillment, you're able to put systems in place to make fulfilling and doing those things easier so you can continue to focus on bringing in clients. That's really how you grow really big, right? So I know those things were the struggle in the beginning, and they're still a struggle for me, right? And sometimes it's hard to discern what the revenue producing activity is, right? Because let's say you don't have an agency website, like that may actually be a revenue producing activity for you to set one up so that you have that asset. So you have something that you can put client facing forward, right? To show what you're doing and position yourself as more of a quote legitimate business, right? Not saying you necessarily have to have a website. I didn't have a website for a long time, but you know, having one definitely has helped, right? It does help. So, and I don't put as much focus into my agency website as Nick does. I mean, Nick spends a lot of time working on his, which is probably what I should do, but I don't. So I would say, Dorn, for me, it's that, you know, continuing to be clear on what is the RPA activities and staying focused on those. So awesome. And here is, I don't know if I can show this to you guys. James Juris is our member of the week. So shout out James. Trying to see if I can. I have a little image here of James, but I'm not sure with only one screen how to share it. So James, thumbs up, man. Shout out. He was our most engaging member of the week. So James, are you on here, James? Let me look and see. James Juris, are you on the live right now? Yeah, well, we have a special gift for James. So James, if you watch this replay, reach out to us. Let us know you're a member of the week. We'll post something in the Facebook group as well, giving you a big shout out. And sorry I wasn't able to share the image because I'm not in my office, but we'll make a post in the Facebook group. So I'll have Shushan do that, make a post with the shout out to you as member of the week, and then just get in touch with us and we have a special prize for you. So awesome, James. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so why don't we open up for some Q&A? Let me go through the comments here and we'll talk about some things. I see tons of comments in here. That is awesome. All right, so here we go. Let's see, I'm scrolling through here. Let's see, here's one from, Richard said, ranking his own agency site back in 22 was how he learned SEO. Yeah, it's a great strategy, right? Post first Penguin update, his SEO got wiped out, and so did the rank and rent sites he created. And I was hooked on inbound leads, so figured it out and ranked my own site to page 1. That's awesome, Richard. Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to learn, right? Actually doing it for yourself. And it also helps so you're not dependent on other people, right? Like, I know we all want to outsource and things like that, but it's good to just know the things you're doing. Hey, Kevin, yeah, you're actually on live. Kevin said, "Oh, I'm able to attend live." Awesome. Hey, David, right back at you, man. I love it. So for those of you guys that are on here and don't know Delicious Marketing, David is part of Delicious Marketing, and those guys over there are doing some great things. You should check them out. They've got a podcast. They've got a great group. So definitely give them a shout out. Yeah, David says fulfillment's the easy part. Yep. Yeah, we appreciate you joining us, David. Let's see. Jess says a wife accuses me of not squirrel. I love that, Jeff. Yes, I get that from my wife. I get that from my wife too. Let's see. Here's a question from John. John says, in your opinion, what offline niches would you caution a newbie? I.e., what niches should a newbie avoid until he's gained more experience? John, that's a great question, and I think that's a question that really doesn't get asked enough, right? Like, most people want to know what niches they should go after, but are there particular niches out there that you should avoid? And I think in the beginning there are some. And I think the deciding factor of that is, like, what's the competition like from other marketing companies, right? Because, when you're first getting started and you're just trying to figure out your legs and you're trying to get comfortable with what you're doing and what type of results you can deliver and stuff like that. Like, I know there's markets out there that are extremely lucrative, like the lawyer market, right? A lot of people target attorneys. But those markets are super crowded, right? Like, there's a lot of big agencies focusing on that group because, it's a very profitable niche to be working in, right? So I would say niches like that, you might want to kind of, especially if you're trying to go outside your area, right? If you're working in your local area, I think when you're new, like, the real key is to focus on your own backyard, like in an area where you can actually touch and talk and use the leverage of being in the same area that these businesses are. I think that's really key when you're first starting out. Like, don't try to put yourself up as some big agency when you're not, right? Like, just be upfront with people and say, hey, I'm a marketer. I'm in this area. This is what I do. I'd love to help you out, right? And because I'm just getting my agency off the ground, I'm able to give you a pretty smoking deal on what I can do compared to other people, right? Then as you get traction and you get more confidence in what you can deliver in your results, then you can start moving out and targeting people in a certain niche, maybe in other cities. I know a lot of people a lot of people want to go like niche specific and they want to go national, right? Like they want to say focus on attorneys and they want to get attorneys in cities all over the United States. That is a great goal. But if you're going to do that, it takes a lot of resources. You know, we talk a lot about this in our agency growth machine course about how, you know, when you're trying to do something on a national scale, it takes a big budget, it takes a team, it takes a lot of stuff that just most people when they're starting out don't have. And when you don't have those things, you're just kind of setting yourself up for failure, you know? So it's better to start small, like start in a small area, get really good, build up some cash flow. You know, you can still have that goal in mind, but put together a solid plan for it, right? Like make sure you're putting away cash to spend on marketing. You're putting away some cash to build a team so that you have the infrastructure, right? So you have the infrastructure as you start to expand, to grow. I know that has been our experience and what has seemed to work the best for us. So that's a great question though, John. I mean, so I would say lawyers is probably one. I think, you know, let me say this. I would say when you're first starting out, some of the best clients that I ever worked with when I was first starting out were like local service businesses. And by that, I mean like handyman cleaning companies, carpet cleaning companies, general contractors. I have a water damage client. Some of those guys have been with me from the beginning, and they've been the best to work with because one of the things that I've found with them is like they realize they need help. You know, they're busy running their business and they want somebody to just kind of take care of this digital marketing for them. You know, they want to know what's going on, but they don't really want to learn it, right? Like they got other stuff that they have to focus on. And so I found those clients really to be the best in the beginning. You know, sometimes when you start to get into these higher, I don't know if echelon services is the right word for them, but attorneys I would think is one. Like, you know, attorneys, they're all pretty smart guys and they can tend to be a little bit of a pain when you're working with them, you know? So nothing against you if you're an attorney, nothing against you. Not everybody's that way, but it can be that way. So I would say in the beginning, you know, try to focus on some, you know, smaller to medium-sized businesses. Local service type businesses are really good. And it's usually a lot easier to get them as a client when you're new than some of these bigger, more high-powered niches and things like that. So awesome question, John. Let's see here. Peter says, okay, so I'm sending out 40 emails per month with the follow-up email sequences from Lead Factory. If no one is responding after the fourth follow-up, do we choose another 40 prospects to send out again? Peter, absolutely. I mean, I don't know that I would totally write those people off. But I think if you're just getting started, right, like I'd probably pick a new, you know, like have some other way to follow up with those other people, right? Like add a new 40 into what you're doing, get going with those, maybe send, maybe have something a little different for those other 40, right? Maybe send them a letter or pick up the phone and start calling them just to see if they got the email, if they're interested, right? Something like that. Maybe some different type of follow-up, another way to touch them outside of the emails. But you can definitely just continue to send 40 new ones and keep going that way as well. Let's see. Richard says, I have an existing agency site, but it's torched and doesn't rank, and I'm trying to sort out a new one today this weekend since it's apparently Friday. I'm undecided as to whether to create a general digital marketing agency site or create a few niche-specific agency sites. Yeah, Richard, so that's the question, right? To niche or not to niche? We've kind of been talking about that a little bit in some of the other things we were talking about, but you know, I take the general approach, and mainly that's because of my situation. I think a lot of times people tend to think about questions like this in a bubble, like there's some right and wrong answer to these types of questions. And I will tell you that there's no right and wrong answer, right? There's only different ways to do things, and different ways work for different situations. And so like in my particular situation and Nick's particular situation, We're in Maui, which is a small market, right? We only have 144,000 people that live here full time. So, it made more sense for us to stay general and be able to talk to a variety of different types of businesses, right? Now, there's a downside to that because businesses do like to work with people that are specific to their industry, right? That you can usually charge higher fees that way. You can usually, focus in, like, if you're the guy who helps roofers get more clients, that appeals to roofers a lot more than somebody who's doing general marketing, right? So, you can go either way. And I think it depends on your specific situation, where you're at, who you're trying to target, all those kinds of things. Both ways can and do work, right? You just have to kind of look at your situation and see what's going to be the best for you. Oh, hey, James is here. All right, James. Congratulations, man. You are our member of the week for most engagement. If you just send your contact info over to offlinesharks.com/support, and Cameron's got a free gift for you. He's going to get it out to you. Awesome. You're welcome, James. Let's see. Let me look at some other questions here. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, James, congrats on being member of the week, man. Oh, here's a great one from Tom. Tom says, hey guys, your method just landed me a veterinarian. Oh, you're welcome, Tom. So I need recommendations for 1, a appointment setting software or a good service that provides this, and 2, appointment reminder, SMS software, and 3, reputation software. Hey, Tom, do me a favor. Can you just, can you send in a ticket to offlinesharks.com/support so I can look into this for you and get the best recommendations for you? Yeah, if you could do that, then I'll get some suggestions for you, and we can share them in the group too. But I want to talk to Nick about that and make sure we give you the best ones there. So they said, there you go, offlinesharks.com, claim your prize. There's a button for claim your prize, James, so do that. Let's see. Kelly says, I joined the agency Growth Machine yesterday. Welcome, Kelly. Super excited to have you inside there. Can we make the ability to see the listings to members only, where only members who pay a fee to see the listings? So, Kelly, we don't have that functionality right now. And we're really, that's really not kind of the way that we were proceeding with Agency Growth Machine. That's an interesting idea. I've never really thought about that. We just kind of we want everything to be accessible to the public for the community resource website and stuff like that. But I can definitely, we can talk to Nick about that and see if that's something we can do. We just have to work out why we would want to do that, right? Why we would want to make it private. Let's see, Richard. Yeah, great question. If you're not beholden to the city you live in, focus on cities that are around 100K population. They won't pay as well, but it's way less competitive and always. Great advice, Richard. Great advice. Hey, Jeremy, we had a shark shout outs to you, so glad you made it in. Let's see. Here's one from Manny. Manny says, what suggestions do you have for someone starting out making a site for yourself and customer testimonials? Do you just remove that section until you get some reviews? Yes, Manny. That's what I do. Or if I've done anything for friends, I found kind of before I was really getting actual clients, I had friends that wanted me to help them with things on their website or stuff like that when they found out I could do that. Other people I knew that had businesses. So, if I helped someone in any way with their website or their marketing, I just asked them if they'd mind sending me a testimonial, and then I'd put those on there. So you can round them up yourself. But if you don't have any, definitely don't make any up. Just leave that off for now until you get some. Yeah, Julian says, good advice. I'm in Australia and want USA clients. It's pretty tricky in the beginning. Yeah, Julian, it is, especially when you're going for, those competitive niches like that medical spa niche, right? Let's see. Julian also asked, isn't it better to just focus on one niche instead of multiple? So yeah, Julian, so that's kind of what I just saw this, but sort of what I talked about earlier, right? Like both approaches, whether you go general or whether you go niche specific, they have advantages and disadvantages, right? And I think, a lot of times, again, it comes back to what situation are you in, right? Like if you have a pretty good business foundation behind you, like, you have your business set up a way that it can run efficiently. Maybe you have a team member or two, you have a budget to do things. Like that's a very different situation from somebody like myself who really didn't have very much business, well, who didn't have any entrepreneurial experience, right? Like, I mean, I was in the corporate restaurant management world. I really didn't have any entrepreneurial experience. I really didn't know, had no idea how to build a team, how to set up a business. Like I was just doing it all myself, figuring it out as I go, kind of flying by the seat of my pants, right? And that's a very different situation than somebody who has some more structure to their business and what they're doing. And while there is advantages to being niche specific, and what I kind of touched on earlier was mainly like you can say like, hey, we specifically help your type of business, which is very appealing to potential clients. But and eventually I think as you grow, a lot of people move into that. They maybe start general and then go into specific, mainly because they start to find like what types of businesses they like to work with, right? Which ones are the most profitable, which ones they can help the most. So I kind of believe like in the beginning when you're new, and again, so these things are situation specific, right? Like if you're new and just trying to figure this thing out and you're just getting into it and you don't really know a lot about what you want to do, I think being general is the better way to go in the beginning. And one of the things that really, this isn't the book I'm going to talk about in my section today, but there's a great book out there called Range. And it's probably one of the best books I read last year. And it really is about this particular topic of whether you should be a specialist or a generalist, right? And he makes some really great observations based on research and information that's out there on why in the beginning it's better to be a generalist and how that can be more profitable, and you niche down later as you go. And one of the examples he uses in that book is sports. Like, you have certain people that, their parents, they drive them into a sport early on and they work really hard at that sport. One example is Tiger Woods, right? Golf all the way through. But there are many more great players that started out doing a lot of different things and didn't get specialized until they were much older and further along in their careers. And I just think the book makes some really great points and observations about the difference between that, right? But again, it's very much kind of based on your situation, what you're trying to do and where you're at. So, when Nick and I talk about these kinds of things, like you really got to think about how this applies to you and what you have in your wheelhouse and what you have going on, right? Like we can give you very general information, but it's hard to get real specific without having specifics. It's hard for us to get specific. So we got to kind of talk about things in a general way, right? But both ways work, right? And going the niche route can definitely be more profitable and set you up for success because you can put systems in place and customize things. And basically you're taking one system that you already have in place and applying it to a bunch of different people, right? That's a really great way to scale. But in the beginning, you may not be there yet. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, Ron said maybe avoid e-commerce. They can be complicated. Yes, they can be. Richard said dental, plumbing, legal tend to have the highest value based on search volume. Yep, they do. It keeps jumping down to the bottom here. Let's see. Lori. Hey, aloha, Lori. Lori used to live here in Maui. Is there a certain annual sales volume of a client you're considering taking on? I track a lot of startups of tiny or no budgets. Lori, that's definitely something as you start to grow your agency, you're going to want to start considering, right? So one of the things that I like to do is look at my best clients and say, okay, well, these were the clients I enjoyed working with the most. These were my best ones. Like, what do they kind of all have in common? Like what is their sales volume? What is stuff like that? You can also like kind of determine, if, just by asking clients when you talk to them, do you have a budget for this is a big indicator, right? Do they just want to pay the minimum amount possible, or do they actually have a budgeted amount that they set aside in their company to do marketing? There are lots of companies out there that have a marketing budget that has to be spent every month, right? Like they do not want any of that marketing budget left over. They want to spend it. So, there are ways to identify those types of companies based on like how many employees they have. Like, you can find public information sometimes on sales. But you should be able to get a feel, Lori, for kind of the clients. Like you just start to go after a little bigger businesses, right? And asking them those pre-qualifying questions like, what's your budget for this? All those kinds of things, right? And then not being afraid to tell them like their budget isn't enough, right? Like that's another part of this equation is like, you ask them what their budget is for something. And if they say their budget's $500, you have to say like, look, that's not enough. Like I can't work with you because we don't have enough money to do what you want to do. Hope that answers your question, Lori. Let's see. Keep going here. Justin said, I've seen you share the open rate on the email templates on Lead Factory. What is the average response rate that you or others have been with those? So Justin, I mean, we get a higher response rate on our end than most people because we really kind of use that Lead Factory model of like reaching out with our agency growth machine influencer site. So, we have a little bit of a different method because we're giving businesses free listings on these influencer sites, and we're really emailing them to find out if we have their business information correct. So our response rates are really high because of that, because they want to, they let us know that their information is correct, and we have a process we go through to turn them into clients. So, but I don't know if there's really an average number that I can give you, right? I know Brian gets a lot, he uses those templates just like we put them in Lead Factory. And I know his response rates and setting up those strategy sessions is really high. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head though. Peter says, what cities are best to go after? So Peter, I think the best cities to go after are the ones that in the beginning that you have a foothold in. Like if you're in an area and there's cities around you, the city you're in and the cities around you, I think those are the best ones to start. I mean, obviously the bigger the city, the more businesses there's going to be, right? But also the level of competition goes up. So you really want to have your ducks in a row if you're going to try to invade those bigger markets. Let's see. Peter says, is there a way to find new businesses that just registered their domain name, a software maybe? Peter, I don't know off the top of my head. Like I know, like, you can use inside the Lead Factory training, we talked about the databases that you can access through the public library, Reference USA, and then I can't think of the other one right off the top of my head. There's another one there. What is it called? A to Z databases. Usually if you have a public, like a lot of public libraries, if you have a library card, will let you access those databases for free. And while they don't focus on domain name registration, I don't think, what you can do is pull a list of all the new businesses. So you can get a list of new businesses that have opened up in your area. And that can be a really good list to go after. Steve says, where can I get a site for my marketing agency cheap? Steve, there's a couple options. So one is, I don't know if you're a member of our Shark Alliance, but if you're in the Shark Alliance, we give you a done-for-you agency theme, and it comes complete with content and everything like that. We also have a few of our products come with agency themes that you can use, like Social Sumo comes with a social marketing agency theme, and also Agency Growth Machine. The influencer sites that we use in that program we also have service pages that you can use as like a portfolio and to showcase your services and stuff like that. But we do have the Done For You agency site. Sometimes we have given that out as a bonus in the past, but I don't know if we've done that recently or not. Look around though, Steve. There's a lot of, you can find sometimes products where that'll be a bonus, an agency site, and you don't have to use ours, right? I mean, we think our sites are good, but you can find those other places too. Richard says a friend of his gets a list of new domain registrations each morning, but he can't find out what the service is. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, Richard. Nick may know that. I don't know. Jeremy says, I'm trying to figure out how to stop the auto follow-up sequences for an individual person who asked to unsubscribe. Jeremy, the app should do that, right? Like if somebody unsubscribes, it should automatically unsubscribe them from the follow-up sequences. Maybe you might want to check with the Cloud HQ support or their documentation to find out about that. There may be something we're missing there. Let's see. Justin says, great question. I'm mentioning it too. Right now, I've been researching new businesses that have just registered with the city secretary in the city. I want to find customers and then look them up if they have a website or my Google business. All right. I'll see if I can find out for you guys. I'll see if I can find out what service delivers those. I'm sure I know somebody who knows what it is. Aloha, Patty. Patty says, I also joined Agency Growth Machine yesterday. Welcome, Patty. Super excited. Can you talk about your team? Are they US based? Are they overseas? How big is your team? So Patty, there's a couple parts of that, right? So Nick and I, we really have three, but we have separate businesses, right? We have our agencies, and then we have teams and different people that are associated with those. Those teams are relatively small, right? Like, for the agency stuff, we have, a website developer, we have a content creator. Nick has a project manager that works with his content creators and his website developers and things like that, that kind of runs things in the background for him, right? So project manager, website developers, we have a pay-per-click person that we found through Upwork. We have people to create content, right? Those kinds of things for our agencies. And then we use things like, especially for our Agency Growth Machine, we have appointment setters. And so when we're talking about fulfillment in terms of developers, content creation, things like that, those people are overseas. And most of those people we found through Upwork by posting jobs on Upwork and walking them through an interview process. The appointment setters, and now we have some sales. Nick just recently hired an actual sales rep. Those people we like to find locally. And so inside your Agency Growth Machine course, we have a thing in there about the appointment setters where we talk about where to find them, how to interview them, pay structure, all that stuff. So that will help you with the appointment setters. The other team people for the agencies, we just find through Upwork. And, it's a matter of posting a job for what we need and then interviewing them, making sure they're a good fit and then doing some projects with them. And then building that relationship over time, right? Now, for Offline Sharks, we have another team for that business, right? And that requires some different things. We've got, obviously our Offline Shark support people who you guys interact with when you send in tickets, and we have Shushan, who's on our team now, who helps us with the Facebook groups and stuff like that. And again, we find those people through Upwork and doing those kinds of things. But for most of you that are running an agency, you're not going to need to have a big team, especially in the beginning. Like you're only going to need a couple of people to help you on the fulfillment side, right? So having a big team, expanding is something that we're growing into, right? We didn't start that way. So, we started with one person. We hired one person to help us, and then we expanded that out. So, and I think we actually, we just wrapped up a private coaching class where that's what we taught people. We took them, it was 6 weeks, and we helped them build a team from week 1 to week 6. And I think we're going to run another one of those here pretty soon. So keep your eye out for that, because the people in that class loved it. And like a lot of them had people hired. And one of the things about the way we do it is we bring people like we build the relationships first. So we're able to build a team without having to lay out a bunch of money up front. Like we actually have a process and a system for that. So that's what we teach people in the course, and it works like gangbusters. Like people were hired, like we had one person in there who knew nothing about SEO, but in like week 3, she had an SEO person hired and she was doing SEO for clients. Even, I mean, she wasn't actually doing it. The person on her team was, but like they were delivering, she was getting paid, and she really knew nothing about SEO. So definitely doable. Let's see. Julian says it takes time to find where you belong and where you naturally are a teacher. Absolutely. Absolutely, Julian. Says I started by setting up WordPress sites, but I hated it. Over a couple of years, I ended up specializing in Google My Business, lead gen, and video for the med spas. And yeah, that's awesome, Julian. And that, that is the path I think that most people take, right? And it's easy to look at the end result and think I need to be there now. And like, you need to find your way. You need to figure out what clients you're comfortable. Like Nick is comfortable working with different clients that I'm not comfortable working with, or I feel more comfortable with other types of clients. So yeah. Awesome. Charles, you live in Maui? Man, we need to hook up for lunch or something. That's awesome. Yeah, Charles, like shoot us a message over at support or direct message us on Facebook. Let's get together for lunch or something. We love to meet fellow sharks. That's awesome. Let's see, Megan. Oh, Megan says, that's so fun. So Megan is who I was just talking about. She was our person in our class who was doing SEO and didn't know anything about SEO. I thought it was great. She said, look, I just pulled in 3 $500 to $600 per month clients this week. They were all BNI members. I can't really say no to super low end for me, but I'm outsourcing it, so it hurts less. That's awesome, Megan. And for those of you that may be on this live and you don't really know what BNI is Business Networking International. It's a paid networking group, and I belong to one here in Maui, and I got a lot of clients out of there. They meet once a week. They only allow like one person from every niche. So like I was the only website designer in the group, and they refer business back and forth. And so there is an investment to be in BNI, but I found it to be I found it to pay off much better than a lot of the free networking groups. But you can go to free networking groups and things like that and work your way up into BNI. But I really enjoyed it. And we have a lot of sharks that are in BNI, get clients from BNI. It's a great place to go. Justin says, or what's a realistic response target rate? Justin, it's so hard to know that kind of stuff without knowing the specifics, right? I mean, so much of it depends on the list, the people that you're reaching out to. Do they need what you're offering? Like, are they good targets? Like, there's so many things that go with that. And, how are you reaching out to them? Like, are you spending a little bit of time to kind of research their situation and customizing what you're sending to them to be more focused on their actual situation, or at least seem that way? Like, it's really hard to give those kinds of numbers without knowing that kind of stuff. I mean, I know everybody wants to know, like, well, what is it? It's like, well, I don't know. Like, we've had campaigns that are hugely successful and ones that are super low, but we still get clients. Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know which one is better. Like, some of our best clients have come from campaigns that didn't get really high response rates, Let's see. Larry says, they look at Yellow Pages website, know if they have paid ads there, we can do better for less. That's a great strategy, Larry. What Larry's talking about is like, you can go to the Yellow Pages site and you can see if people are paying to be there, or if they just have free listings. And, one of the things we really like to look for in potential prospects is, are they already spending money on advertising, right? And if they are, they're a good potential prospect. And that's what Larry's talking about here, looking at the Yellow Pages, and if they have paid ads, reaching out to them and saying, hey, these probably aren't doing very well for you. Like, we can do better. This is our option. Why don't we take that money you're spending on Yellow Pages ad, move it to what we're doing, and see if we get better results. Offline Shark said this is awesome, so that's good. Bill is commenting on the idea of the specialist. He said it's hard to be a specialist because when discussing strategy, you find out that the business owner is into different niches. Example, real estate agent flips houses, has small hauling company, runs a used furniture space from clean outs. It's crazy. Yeah, well, that's especially true here in Maui. Like so many business owners here in Maui own multiple businesses. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten a lot of clients in a lot of different niches because I picked up a client for one thing, and it turns out they had 3 different businesses doing something else. So. Yeah, Larry said you could, if I don't know, I forget who was asking about the agency site earlier on, but yeah, if you have website Profit Monster, you can use that to make a agency website too. Let's see. I don't have a good plumbing theme site. We have one for roofers. Let's see. I'm looking through here. So Peter said, any cold calling scripts or emails for selling SEO? So Peter, we do have some of that stuff in our Shark Alliance membership. We share a lot of that stuff in there. Prospecting emails we send out. We also do a thing in there called In the Trenches Training, where we record conversations with clients and share you the emails back and forth and all that stuff. So if you're looking for that kind of stuff, that's usually the place where you can find a lot of that. We include it in some of our other courses and things too. Nice thing about being in the Shark Alliance is whenever we put out a course, you get it as part of the Shark Alliance. Like the Shark Alliance members got Lead Factory like a week or 2 weeks earlier than anybody else. Walter says, do you know the marketing event Nick and Brian are attending this weekend? Yeah, it's Walter. It's called Webinar Con, I think it's called. Webinar Con. It's a pretty small, I know it was, it's not a cheap event. And I know there's a lot of big name people there, and it's a real small, tight knit event. I think there's only like 80 people there or something, but yeah, really, really good. Dorn said he didn't find any value in his BNI groups. Man, that sucks, Dorn. I'd keep looking around, see if there's any more. Let's see. Julian says, I'm going to be starting instant reply this weekend so I can start targeting prospects. And any tips on how to get set up quickly? Julian, take advantage of what Brian and his team have in there, right? Like reach out to them through their support desk, get them to help you out. Like they are super willing to really help you guys out with that stuff. So. All right, man, I think we made it through all the questions. Cool. Well, I want to throw in my section here because I need to do this. My What's Tom Reading? What's Tom Reading? And as you can see, I am almost done with this book. I will probably finish it today. But this is the book that I'm going to recommend for what Tom's reading. It was actually it's kind of an older book. I think it was voted the best business book of 2018. I just now found out about it, and so I've been reading the paperback. It was a New York Times bestseller, but it's called Billion Dollar Whale, The Man Who Fooled Wall Street, Hollywood, and the World by Tom Wright and Bradley Hope. And if you want to get a look at the books that we recommend on the Facebook Live, you can always go to offlinesharks.com/books. Let me see if I can find the banner. Hold on, give me a second. But there were a couple of really great things about this book. Yeah, here it is. So what Tom and Nick are reading, you go to offlinesharks.com/books. You'll see a list there. This one has already been added there. But this book is, I find it really fascinating. And it actually sparked a training that we did for our monthly membership this last week, because this was a guy in Malaysia who was like 27 years old. He just graduated college. And basically he stole like $5 billion from the Malaysian government and was an instant billionaire. He used it to start a studio in Hollywood. They actually produced the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, which I found really ironic that this guy that did this huge financial fraud, produced a movie about financial fraud. But this book has been really interesting. And what it really got me thinking about was like what we've kind of been what we were sort of talking about earlier with confidence in your services and what you're doing. I mean, this guy had no experience, he had nothing going for him, and he was able to convince people to let him take $5 billion. Like, pretty amazing. And we struggle when we have real services, real value that we can bring to businesses, and we worry about how people are going to react to us, right? So I found this book. It's a really fast read. I've only been reading it for a couple of days, and I'm almost all the way through it. So really interesting story, really a really interesting look into the world of high finance and what goes on at these big banks and how deals get done and things like that. So Billion Dollar Whale, Tom Wright, Bradley Hope. It's not the typical business book. It's not like a how-to. It's like just the story of what this guy did. Pretty interesting read, though. I think you guys get a lot of lessons out of it. So I definitely check that out. All right, let's go back to, let's see, what do we got here? Oh, he said recommended reading. I mean, maybe we change that link. There's the correct link. You can go there. I don't know which one is the right one to go to. Maybe they both go to the same place. Yeah, so Larry, yeah, this guy was Jay Lowe was his name. And yeah, he basically was able to set this deal up where he funneled like $5 billion out. And yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Eric says, regarding Reference USA, is there a way to download business email list for free? I don't believe there is, but thought I'd check with you. Hey, Eric. So one of the things to do is to check with your local library. So there are local libraries that have access to those databases. And if you have a library card, you can access them and download lists for free. So A to Z Databases is one. If you just do a Google search, A to Z Databases at my library, or I think Reference USA is the other one. I hope that's the one I'm thinking of. But if not, if you have Lead Factory, there's a video in there about it. But if you have a library card, you can access those. Now, our library here in Hawaii doesn't have those. So I had to have a friend in an area with a library that did. They let me access it through them. But you can access them online as long as you have a library card. Both links work. Awesome. Awesome. Let me take a look here, see if I'm missing anything. We got the recommended reading part. Yeah, hey, thanks to all you guys that jumped in on Instant Reply. Brian Anderson and his team, they're super stoked to be helping you guys. So excited to see the things that are going from that. And then also, too, I don't know if you guys know this, but we have Offline Sharks merchandise. We're getting ready to roll some of this stuff out. So here, I'm going to put a link up here. If you've never been to it to check it out, you can go check it out here. We'll be adding some things. We'll be adding some things to this as we go along, but there's already a couple things there you can purchase if you want some Sharks gear. Check it out. We're working on some other designs and new things and stuff like that, but you can go to offlinesharks.com merchandise, check it out. And yeah, I think that's about it. I think we've pretty much covered everything. I think the only thing I'm missing is we did send out an email this week for a product that was like a collection of a bunch of different ad designs and things. And if you didn't see that, look for that email, because it was a really inexpensive and it just had a bunch of bundled graphics and things. I always think those things are good to have just on the back shelf, because I've bought a lot of that stuff and not needed it. And then down the road, I have a client that I can use something with, and that's there. Check out the merchandise, check out what we're reading, the books, a lot of good books and information in there too. And yeah, well, super excited that you guys joined me today. Yeah, if you have any questions after we end this live, feel free, just reach out, offlinesharks.com/support. Post them in the Facebook group, tag Nick or myself. Nick should be back here next Friday, So yeah, so awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next live. Aloha, everybody.